Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
What are some myths that people still believe? That drug dealers live to give away free product to kids in Halloween lol. So we were taught to check candy for tampering. Like if the wrapper was open or there was a puncture in it to throw it out. That rarely happened. But one of my friends was told any candy that was misshapen was poisoned and believed it through high school. You know how sometimes an M&M isn't perfectly round or two were stuck together before getting the coating? She threw those out. She freaked out when I ate them and I couldn't get her to comprehend that if one is poisoned, wouldn't the whole bag also be poisoned? Damnedest thing, the candies my dad liked were most likely to be tampered with. I'm lucky he was so diligent about checking. Things could have been really bad. If only. Be the change you want to see. Start lacing those sneakers with Xanax. You have to wait 48 hours to report someone missing. I swear, that was spread by the mob and other violent criminals and it just stuck. Simply because these people know cops only look for 48 hours. Now with a 2-day head start, they would never get caught if the general public thought this myth was true and acted accordingly to it. Spread by Hollywood for increased drama. That magnetic jewelry, healing will cure just about anything. A dude named Mesmer, the 1780 came up with the idea. And it have been debunked many times, yet it's still a billion-dollar industry. Fun fact, the word, mesmerized, is related to him. Random fun fact. Mesmer and Mozart were friends, acquaintances and Mesmer's magnets cure everything mentality is mocked in one of Mozart's operas. Not even back then did everyone believe in what that guy was preaching. Edit. The opera is Così fan tutte. The joke happens at the end of the first act. 2 characters pretend to drink poison and die. Another one then enters dressed up as a doctor and resurrects them with a bunch of magnets. Mesmer's name is even outright mentioned. It's all very comedical and fun. Mozart is the best. Confounded magnets, how goes their functionality? That, we only use 10% of our brain, bullshit. Hopefully most people know that's false. But they recently made that movie with that as a premise and that was disheartening. For sure, most of the people I meet are rarely pushing 3%. Most people I meet are pushing on doors that say pull. My partner has actually used 100% of her brain before, during a seizure. She has epilepsy. Similarly, we only ever use 1 or 2% of our computer keyboards at any given time. Occasionally as much as 3%, for some fancier shortcuts. My mom always tells me to never mix milk and fish, since that would poison me. Same goes to sleeping with socks in bed, it makes people blind, according to her. Socks in bed make you blind? I mean my brain just sizzled a bit trying to comprehend it. Maybe it's the thought of socks in bed make you blind. No. Men jack off into socks, and jacking off makes you go blind. For a minute I was thinking what kind of animal mixes milk and fish anyways. Then I remembered cream sauces, chowders, etc. Also, tuna melts. The story that everyone thought the world was flat into the early modern period. No, they did not. Scientists and educated people knew the world was round and roughly knew its size. The fact that they knew its size is exactly why Christopher Columbus's expositions were laughed at. They knew that India was further than he could sail, and were correct about that. They just didn't know there was a whole other continent in between. I love this. Ask Historians post that details the competing theories, numbers. Also just how hard it was to get numbers. After all, who knows the conversion rate from Italian miles to Arabic miles? But yeah, he basically took the most hopeful guesstimate possible for every possible measurement. Super lucky that it wound up being roughly the distance to the Americas. The one about you're supposed to buy an engagement ring worth 3 months of your pays. Idiots still falling for a PR ad campaign from the 1920s, or maybe it was 30s. Doesn't matter. It's ridiculous. And the American Crack Association recommends spending all your salary on crack. Crack. Isn't it time to see what all the fuss is about? 3 years' salary. Michael? Before it comes into contact with oxygen, that blood is blue. The fact that blood really transports oxygen throughout your body baffles me. Confession. I believed in this one as a kid. I would go around telling people man facepalming I'm a smarter man now. I corrected my wife on this a few weeks ago when she told my son. She is a very intelligent person, both book smart and common sense, and somehow this stuck with her. She went to look it up. And I was like, honey, you give blood. It's not mixing with oxygen. And that clued her in. I have also heard this from people who are both highly educated and have common sense. If you get told something young enough, then you tend not to second guess it, I suppose. My high school science teacher told me this, science teacher. I literally argued with her until I got detention. Then got in trouble at home for arguing with an adult from my dad who was an RN. He tried to argue her side as, well, blood is darker until it gets oxygen. That was a moment in life that always stuck in my memory. It's when I learned adults are fallible too. Venous blood definitely looks darker than arterial blood. Between that, and those medical diagrams showing veins and arteries as blue versus red, I guess that's why that myth was so popular. I believed it as a kid. Also, look at the veins in your wrist, quite blue. I know now that that is from the skin, but I definitely believed this for a while. I mean, the proof is right there.